And we're also like, we've been down this road before of doing grants and promising a little bit too much, so we're not doing that. Anyway, but what's nice about this is, guess what? Those articulation agreements that we bust our rear ends to get to go through, now we'll have a solid deliverable. Instead of having 1 or 2 students going from the high school and taking advantage of the units they've gotten in your college, you're going to have 20. Now, the grant that I'm working on is a grant called LA High Tech. I'm actually working on 3, but LA High Tech is the big one. It's one of those $15 million ones. And what LA High Tech is for is it's primarily to train people in entertainment technologies, with a little bit of IT, with a little bit of graphic arts. But really, its focus is on entertainment, which makes sense in the LA area because approximately half of the CSIT workforce is directly involved in entertainment. Approximately 170,000 people, if you want a relatively precise number. So we feel that this is something that can train them. Plus, because of the grant that I run as the Deputy Sector Navigator for the LA region for ICT and digital media, my approach to that has been to have a ton of professional experts at my beck and call. And yes, that has actually caused me trouble sometimes because I have too many professional experts and I spend my money very quickly. But it's worked out very nicely in terms of what we can do with any kind of career path articulation. Because one of the things that we can do is we can have these professional experts come in and meet with the high school teacher, can meet with the college teacher, and can even act as a bit of an intermediary between the two of them, so that we can make sure that the deliverable is, which is the articulated class, is not only one that serves the needs of the high school, serves the needs of the community college, but more importantly, serves the needs of the employer. How often is it that we do an advisory meeting, and in the advisory meeting, the #1 thing that the advisors will sit there and tell us is we need to teach soft skills. We can teach someone who has good soft skills, good technical skills. Well, we all know that by the time someone goes to college, it's too late to teach soft skills. We need to start teaching these things earlier. So what better opportunity to start that process as well than in the high school level, where as part of the projects that we will work together in classes that articulate are ones where people need to work together, need to form teams, need to work together as teams. And this can work across almost any of the career pathways that are out there. It doesn't only have to be ICT and digital media. It can be pretty much anything. And on top of that, we can teach people how to present themselves in public, learn how to speak in public. Guess what? That ties in with your English class. To learn how to give a speech, to learn how to present in front of a group of people and not totally freeze up like your Fred Flintstone in that episode where he has to pretend like he's in Romeo and Juliet. So we have that opportunity to really take advantage and help the students before they get into college. Because guess what? I sometimes teach at Loyola Marymount, and those students who, as you know, a lot of our students will say, oh, I can't think of going to Loyola Marymount because, and I hate it when people say this to me, that's a white people college. And I'm like, don't say that. I ain't a white person. So don't use that phrase around me. So, so what we do is they have that same issue. They have the same challenges. They're not articulate. They don't know how to compose a good email. They don't know how to do basic math without a calculator. So we have a nice opportunity to tie in all of the high school curriculum holistically with some of the classes that they will be taking at the community college level. This is a very ideal situation that can work very nicely. Now, we all know that this is one of those things that works beautifully on paper. But once we try to implement it, we start running into any number of, shall we say, seemingly insurmountable challenges. I'm just going to toss this out there. I'll let you know what some of our challenges are, and please let me know if you've been faced with the same thing. one of the challenges we have is that the articulated classes can be dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment classes. Now, that sounds really nice. Here's the problem. As you all know, dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment has no definition from the Chancellor's office.
Yeah.
So it is district-oriented, how you come up with what the definition of that is. So now we're already going to have an alignment issue if we go out of state or we're talking about multiple districts. So, but let's put that aside, because that's actually kind of a nomenclature thing. The more serious problem with doing the dual enrollment, particularly when the class is taught in the high school and gets articulated to the community college, is that the high school teacher might not have the minimum calls to teach the class. Let's talk about the a cinema program, because again, we're doing LA High Tech is cinema and media arts and all that. The cinema, broadcasting, and media arts. It's ironic I'm talking about this because I don't have my master's yet. I'm going for it at my age. Trust me, that's not fun. But I don't have my master's. I can't teach cinema classes. I can write them and I can create them, but I can't teach them.
Unless you teach one.
Hmm?
You teach one class.
Oh, we're not in LACCD. I'm not allowed.
Really?
Nope. So so that's why I'm going for my master's in my dotage. But without the master's, most high school teachers who are teaching media arts programs don't have a master's either. So the articulation can only be for a media arts class or a broadcasting class. It can't work for the production classes. And guess which classes are the most likely to have students willing to bust their rear ends in high school? It's the production classes. So now we're having an articulation challenge. And so how do we solve that? Well, of course, the first way is to say, well, we should open up the cinema and allow people who just have, let's say, eminence to be able to teach it on the high school level. Here's another problem. Not a lot of high school teachers, and I'm not knocking high school teachers, but not a lot of high school teachers have enough boots on the ground entertainment industry experience to actually qualify for eminence. I have a problem getting eminence, and I was an upper level executive in a multinational corporation. Okay, yes, my hit show was Baywatch, but so what? You know, it was still a hit show, and I can still talk the language of multiple different distribution patterns and all that. But anyway, not that any student in the right mind would want to learn that. But that does present a challenge. So what do we do with that?
Externships.
That's a possibility. But the other thing that can happen is underneath the grant, you're allowed to have some of your college teachers go to the high school and teach the classes. And that works nicely. And within the structure of the California Career Pathways grants, this can work. But there's a but on this, because there's always a but, right? It's fine until the grant runs out, because the grant is supposed to become in some form or another self-sustaining. Now, the LA Community College District has a program that they call ACE. And what ACE is a program where community college teachers go into the high schools and teach the class. They're allowed to bring a certain percentage of community college students, or a certain percentage of community college students are allowed to enroll in that class as well. And fortunately, there's a bunch of ACE classes that are already in place. So this doesn't necessarily mean it's not something that's not sustainable, because we already have an ACE program. However, there's a limited number of ACE classes that can be taught in any given semester. So the last thing we want to do is to create a program that has to be sustainable, where now we're taking our entire allotment of ACE classes and devoting them to this program for years 4, 5, and out into the future. But it does work temporarily. And then what you said absolutely comes into play. One of the things that we can do is, if this program looks like it is succeeding, if in year 2 It looks like there are people who are getting enthused about it. Then now we have the high school teachers having an incentive to say, you know what, I'm going to go and get my MFA.
Are you sure an MFA or we're going to be more work production?
Unfortunately, in the case of certain impacted majors like cinema, it has to be an MFA. It has to be a terminal degree. And that's what makes it difficult. And okay, I'm talking to insiders, so we all know that this is the reason. The business of education is education. If you have a student who's sitting in your classroom and they know that you don't have an MFA, and they know that you're able to teach their class, and they also know that your name isn't Steven Spielberg, so you're not so eminent that the whole world knows who you are. What have you just told them, just by your very existence in the classroom?
It's marginal.
You don't need an MFA. So that is why it is so difficult in those particular areas to get eminence or to get the requirement for an MFA waived. And let's not even add to that the number of people who have MFAs and PhDs who are unemployed. So that becomes another challenge. So if the program works, yes, there is an incentive to the high school teacher to perhaps go out there and get their masters, so that now they are qualified.